Good afternoon. My name is Charles Schaub. I am the chairman of Save Miami Beach. We have endorsed 4 candidates for commission for this upcoming November election. They are Simone Cruz, David Dermer, Spencer Ige, and Warren Stamm. Graciously, the producers of Livewire have invited us to introduce to you each of our 4 candidates. This afternoon, I'm here at the National Hotel with Warren Stamm. Warren Stamm is a lifelong resident of Miami Beach. He is an attorney who specializes in international finance and business. Warren is in a tough race against incumbent Nancy Liebman. Warren is a candidate for whom we have a particular regard. Warren is a candidate who has entered in this race out of the same feelings of distress and disgust with the overdevelopment of our city and the arrogance of City Hall, as all of us at this time, I believe, are feeling. Good afternoon, Warren.
Good afternoon, Charles.
And thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. When anyone in particular is looking at a challenger to an incumbent, immediately the question comes, well, I know what the incumbent is. I know what the incumbent has done. Why should I vote for the challenger? Perhaps you might, as starting off our conversation today, explain just exactly how you feel you might be a different commissioner from Nancy.
Well, Charles, I was born on Miami Beach. I have resided here for the last 37 years. This is where I grew up. This is where my home is, and this is where I plan on staying. I've been involved in city government, and I've been involved in many aspects of the community, in my community associations, and I've tried to become an involved citizen, and I think I've achieved that. I chose to run in this race because I feel that it's my time. I've had the opportunity over the last 4 years to watch the City Commission, particularly the incumbent Commissioner Nancy Liebman, and I feel that this is the seat that I want to run in. I've not been pleased with the way that the city government has been handled. I've not been pleased with the way that our city has in fact been run. And I feel that I can effectuate the proper change. And I firmly believe that if, as many of the residents do that I've had the opportunity to meet over the last several months during this campaign and during my time residing here in Miami Beach, is that if the citizens are happy with the way that their city is being run and the way that their quality of life is, then frankly, Charles, I'm not the person to vote for. But if you believe, as I do, that this city is ripe for a change and there's a lot of potential in this city, and you feel that you can be a part of that change, then I am there to be the voice for you.
In my view, in your work for the city, a very interesting role. You served, as I understand, on Mayor Gelber's first transition team, and your responsibility on that team was to study basically the ethical conduct of government. What on that committee did you do, and what happened to the work that you produced?
I served as the chairman of the Ethics and Government Committee because of my background. I am a former prosecutor for the Florida Bar. I have substantial ethics background, and I chaired that committee with the intent of preparing legislation which would be brought to the City Commission, which would be adopted. I think that at that time the City Commission was concerned about the public's perception about ethics in government, and I think that it was their intention to have proper legislation drafted dealing with lobbying and with ethics in government, and that's what my committee did. We worked very, very hard over a number of months, and we presented to the City Commission both a lobbying ordinance and an ethics in government legislation, which unfortunately, after being presented to the City Commission, the committee was sunsetted, and the legislation sort of got put on the back shelf.
So when you come onto the commission, then, is it in your intent as one of the first things that you will focus on is to revive this legislation and to move it through the commission?
That is, in fact, an intention of mine, Charles, and it's something that I feel is very, very important. The public has lost confidence in a number of their elected officials, as well as in city government in general. And I think that through this type of legislation, we can bring back the confidence of the public to be able to establish the appropriate public-private partnership with government and with the citizenry of Miami Beach.
And so this, for instance, would control lobbyist access, It would control to the commission and to the elected officials. It might look into how elections are financed. It would look into a range of controls which would enhance the access of residents to the government and limit the access of lobbyists to the government.
That's an intent of the legislation, Charles, and I think that it's also very, very important to note that the public feels that they do not have the proper access to city government. And even if you just monitor the city commission meetings and the board meetings, you will see that oftentimes it's the same individuals that are appearing on behalf of the same interests that are before the committees and before the commission. And I think that
representing private developers or private interests or special interests.
Representing a number of those interests across the board. And I think it's important that the city feel that they have access to the government, not only feel it, but actually have that ability to be there. Having the ability to appear before the commission is just not enough. The commissioners need much more visibility to the public and the public to the commission.
So that brings us to the, in my mind, to the issue of the $5,000 which Nancy Liebman has accepted in an illegal contribution from Thomas Kramer. If you recollect, even perhaps more disturbing, she took the contribution in a series of 10 $500 contributions. This is clearly an attempt, an orchestrated attempt, to avoid the intent of the law, in my view, which states that you may take only a $500 contribution from an individual, because the 10 contributions were from corporations entirely controlled by Thomas Kramer. Also, I understand that she has not returned the money, and I would just like you to give some sense of how you feel that would contrast to how you would do things, and so that the voters would have an understanding, perhaps, of the difference.
Well, I think, Charles, that you know, the facts are what they are, and she has not, in my understanding, returned the $5,000, and I think that it's systemic of really what you need to look at as far as the total picture. I think also what's even more problematic is she indicated recently, when that was brought to her attention, that not only did she accept the $5,000 and said, I didn't know it was against the law, but more importantly, she says now that she would not make that mistake twice and that she would not accept a contribution from anyone she did not know personally. And I have to tell you, Charles, looking at her campaign report, and you see all of the tow truck companies, the parking valet people, the development community, the real estate community, everybody that does business with the city of Miami Beach. I have to tell you something. She must be pretty proud to say that she knows all of these individuals personally.
Just as we conclude, there are just a couple of last comments I would like to have from you, and issues I'd like to talk about. And I would just like you to explain, if you might, to the voters how you feel about how you might advise on restructuring the government.
Our city government, the commission and the mayor, are elected officials. They are responsible to the public. And as such, I think that there should be a strong commission. I think that we need a strong mayor and a strong commission. I think that the public perception is that this commission and this mayor answers to the city manager, who is appointed and is hired by the city commission and the mayor. And I think that really we need to have this city commission and this mayor take a strong stance with government reform. And I think that we need to work in conjunction with the city manager. And if a particular form of government doesn't work, then don't let it fester. Fix it. Change it. I like to be a part of the solution rather than to perpetuate the problem.
Thank you very much, Warren, for being with us this afternoon.
Charles, thank you very much. And I also would like to thank Livewire and to thank the citizens of Miami Beach for taking the time to watch this program and to get involved. Thank you.
We will be here again next week on Livewire at the National and interview another of the candidates who we have endorsed. Thank you again very much.